Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. He is the great and fabulous Commander Cockings.
And he has the truly glowing with a blue energy, Captain Foley.
That's because she's showing me off in Starfleet history because I'm important.
Let's go with that.
Today we're talking about Star Trek Prodigy, Episode 3, Starstruck.
The moment, the ship moment, Stuart, that everyone's obviously said to us when you look at it. We're here! We're doing it!
Yes, the ship moment, indeed. We got a lineup of ships that Janeway is showing off to the young folks. Yeah, we have them here. We're going to look at them and talk about them and discuss them, and we're happy about a few things and kind of confused about another thing or two.
And of course, guys, the big elephant in the room is obviously Discovery's in there. We have already done a discussion about it specifically, so check that out tomorrow with all the to's and froms, and you know, that'll be dedicated. This is more about how close they got in general. There's some Trek canon in this still.
Yes, indeed, and we were happy about that. One of the first things that stood out to me, honestly, was the TOS Constitution class. It's not the Discovery version. It's not the Discoverse version, which, considering that the Crossfield or the Discovery is in this lineup, is confusing a bit. And there is two Constitution classes. One you barely see at the last little second there, so I don't know why there's two. You don't see the rest of the ship. Maybe it's got different engines or something, but it really looks TOS. Again, it's not the Discovery. It's not the refit.
Yes, well, I mean, here's the graphics, Stuart. What I did is I actually photoshopped, because the shot goes forward and kind of some shots have some things, and well, the Discovery in focus, some of the other things, I kind of put them all together and made as much as we saw. And obviously I did renders of all the ships. Now for clarity, this is the, as canons you can get. That's the Interior Darkly Constitution class for Enterprise. That's the ILM made Enterprise D model based on 6 foot, so it's accurate. That is the Voyager, so that's canon. That is the Defiant, that's canon. That is the NX-01, that's canon. And that's a licensed Star Trek Discovery model. So all approved, accurate, or fully canon details, so you cannot get more accurate, and this is what they'll base it against. I did try and match focal length as much as I could, but they've obviously truncated a few ships that, like the NX-01 was the first one I tried to, and I couldn't match any of the perspectives exactly because they're drawn, obviously. They're not renders, whatever. I try to match them, and you can see how they're not quite perspectively matching. It definitely feels a bit of an odd scene, given if this is the representation of the Federation lineage. First of all, why are there 3 shuttles? Second of all, it should be in age order then. If you're doing a proper history, it then should be NX, TOS, like a distinct lineup situation where you'd have that. This feels incredibly random, and having Discovery in there when it's not a famous ship in the Trek universe at all, because it's been redacted, etc., it feels more random than it could. Now, I had said in another video that if we'd then seen lots and lots of other ships appear, and just kept going, and then at some point just like click and all disappear, like showing every class, that would have been great then. It's just, well, the randomness is because it's random. So it definitely felt odd, unmotivated in a way.
Yeah.
Well, let's go through in order then. The NX-01, here is it compared. What do you think?
So as I said, I mean, the one in Prodigy seems a lot more TOS-ified. Looks like they tried to make it feel more in line with TOS with just the engines and stuff. They're a little bit different. The nacelles are quite simplified and bits added to make them feel TOS, in my opinion. Even the bottom of the saucer, the same kind of vibe. But I mean, I'm glad to see it. It just doesn't feel as accurate as it should.
And obviously the audience can't be saying it's just a cartoon, just animated, don't look at the detail. Have you seen the MSDs, all the detail? Have you seen the rendering quality? Like, everything here is intentional, ran out of time or whatever. But it's amazing how the Voyager and the D have an extreme amount of detail. To the point of on the Enterprise D, you can still see the on the wing, on the Enterprise D on the neck, you can see, it's very faint, the docking port. There's that much detail, and you can see all the aeroshell detail in the Voyager. So it's not as if they didn't put all of the detail in. So if the NX-01 to actually get nacelles wrong, yeah, you're right. There's that black box at the back, like the TOS Connie has, which isn't on the NX. It was never more famous than its NX version. So there being a TOS engine version would go against, again, the idea of it being this is how it's represented in history books. So.
It seems like these are just really quick sketches somebody did on a napkin from memory, to be honest.
But obviously, in the context of the canon, these are official Starfleet diagrams. Unfortunately, there's a point where
yeah.
So the computer is incorrectly drawing the NX-01. Well, why is that? And it wouldn't be the NX-01 refit. So again, it's not a complaint so much as we're going to call out when they do things, whatever. Now, going to Discovery, very accurate. I mean, they got everything right there, except clearly, and again, I did a real deep focal length. They shrank those nacelles.
And they beefed him up at the back too, which I like.
Yeah, they actually, and that looks so much nicer.
And that's what we've been saying all along about that ship, is the nacelles are just too long and too spindly.
So I think I was at like something like 85 millimeters for the Discovery on that, and that's a real high focal length.
It's worth pointing out that you can read all the other registries.
Yes.
You can't read that one. It's muddied for a reason. People are going to say, "Oh, that's the Discovery," but Discovery was redacted or presumed destroyed at some point. No mention of spore drive. So is it the Glenn? Is it the Crossfield? We don't know, but it's just interesting that it's there.
Yeah, the Discovery was never famous when its stuff was redacted, so it has no, and yeah, I mean, you can even read even just the NX-01. Even though it's beyond blurry, it is so clearly visible, and every single letter on the Defiance readable. You can't read a single thing. Even NCC is like, that's probably NCC, I mean it is, but it's so blurred on purpose, so it's pretty funny. Even down to the Defiant. So this is where some of these are more truncated, and they did, like I said, did a high focal length, although the Connie they're closer on. Defiant, proportionally close, but again they've really brought it in. The Defiant's actually quite an elegantly framed ship, and they've just really truncated it.
It feels more like a comic book that we're looking at here.
Yep.
Because that's how they kind of draw ships in comic books. It's fine. It's accurate enough. You can tell what it is. But yeah, it's very much squished.
And they put some windows that don't exist on the hull. There's no windows inside the warp units. And yet there's a whole load of windows. So they made a slight mistake there. And obviously...
Well, actually, if they were using a reference, there's windows on the underside of the hull, which looks like they just thought were on the underside of the nacelle thing there at one point.
It's fun, the small stuff we see, but hey, I mean, when they're so accurate, when the added windows aren't there to literally the warp coils.
Yeah. Well, this was just a quick scene, though. I mean, nobody's going to pay attention to this stuff, Samuel. Just saying. We pay attention.
But also, these are literally the most famous ships in Trek.
Yeah.
So these are the things you don't really, whatever. But it looks good. I really appreciate that you can see, even on this model, that the models made of the CG models were made a long time ago. It's limited in polygons, and you can see but further back than the main warp arrangements, there's a dum like a very flat step, which is you wouldn't have now. It'd be more smooth, but it is represented there. So cool.
Same with the Voyager. I mean, Voyager it's a little truncated, but it's also a little bit bloated. But other than that, it's not too bad.
No, that one's probably the closest, except the Connie. That one, which would make sense. Voyager, Janeway, you'd put the most effort into it.
Well, actually, the shuttles are the closest. Well, they're side-on profiles, so they're pretty much accurate. But...
Yeah, I mean that's an extremely accurate Voyager. Although they're missing a couple of small details, but I mean, yeah, it's very, very accurate.
Well, you've even got the escape pods, the proper number of escape pods on the side of the secondary hull, like perfect configuration too. That one seems like it might have been a reference photo. Just
yeah, I mean, look at the aeroshell details, magnificent. So that one's definitely their best one. But yeah, the neck and the belly are both just incorrect, pretty bloated. Enterprise D though, pretty darn good.
I see it was hard to match the angle. you were matching the saucer, but if you look at the warp nacelles, yeah.
And obviously you can't match both because they're both.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And it's weird because the warp nacelles look so in proportion, and then it's just a bit weird. That's the whole point. We are comparing because no one's gonna do this really. That's what we're here for.
And the Constitution class is pretty much, never mind, it's not pretty much perfect. It's perfect enough. I just don't know why there were two of them there. That just seems like an odd choice. Would have been better to have the refit there, or like maybe a Reliant or something. I don't know.
Well, honestly, cage version with the extreme extra proportions would have been fun. Or they would have that would have confused everyone because now cage is canon for the design. Or Discovery ship Discovery Enterprise would have been fine, not ideal, but made sense. Or the refit would have been even better. But I mean, the Connie is very, very close. I mean, I can't really fault them. They're really, really good. So you can tell which ones they really tried on, but again, truncated. And I wonder why, because they all just look a bit weird because of it.
I do have to say, good job, guys, working on Prodigy, because happy to see all this stuff, and a little confused about the Crossfield or the Discovery, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, it's one of their brands that's on the air right now, so I'm actually surprised we didn't see the Cerritos here.
Yeah, that creates more questions.
But the Cerritos is a contemporary ship, though, to this time period.
It's also not famous at all.
Yeah,
and especially not at this point.
There's the Crossfield. The
I know.
Discovery.
And why the Voyager shuttle be famous either? And why do you have two Connies?
They appear out of nowhere.
So yeah, guys, interesting mixed bag, but I mean a solid B, B plus, you know.
Yeah, very happy with it.
And hey, who can literally match renders with the original studio models?
Nobody.
So it's a bit
fine.
high
Nobody will
bar.
notice.
High bar. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, cool beans. And yeah, check out our Discover discussion. It's definitely an interesting one. And obviously tune in for other reviews of the lives, etc.
We got a lot of cool stuff coming up, guys. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button. Don't forget to click the notification bell icon to all so you maybe get notified by YouTube. Please join us when you can. Comment down below what you think about the lineup. Are you confused? Are you happy? What do you think of the NX01 and the Discovery? Like, let us know your thoughts. We love reading them. So, yeah.
And if you want to let us know your thoughts via Super Chats, which is a great way, it's direct, because comments are great, but direct feedback is another fantastic way. Then on those lives, subchatting any amount does help, or monthly via Patreon, or joining the channel via YouTube, all really amazing. A one-time donation, because without this direct support, we can't keep going, and we know you guys like it, the amount of stuff we do, the stuff like this, which just cannot be done by anyone else. I'm very proud of that. So support us if you can, by any financial way you can. It all helps. Thanks in advance.
That's right. So until next time, he is still the great and powerful and wonderful Commander Cockings.
And he is the ever elegant and epic Captain Foley. There you go.
Am I still glowing blue, though?
Even brighter.
Okay. See? All right.
Bye,
Thanks, guys. See ya.